Hey friends, welcome back to the dining room patio. We haven't been here in a minute. I got back from going to London, and I have to tell you, my front yard looks awesome. And also, it was so fun because I saw so many plants at RHS Chelsea that are actually in my own garden. So at the end, I'm going to give you a little mini spin because I accidentally created an RHS Chelsea garden right here in my front yard, and it's filling me with insane amounts of joy. I want to jump off into containers today. And one thing I really loved is I was obsessed with Jo Thompson's garden. She brought in this kind of like deep, saturated, gorgeous, like raspberry, and even some plummy tones, and it was so phenomenal. I decided we're going to go for broke, and we are really leaning in hard. This also, funny enough, matches my front porch container, which I did right before we left. So before you, I have an assortment of delicious florals, and one thing you're going to notice is the Calibrachoa that I'm featuring heavily is actually a bit more raspberry than it will eventually become. As the summer heats up, it actually kind of kicks out into more of a coral. Let me zoom you in. I will show you. Oh, I keep pulling all these tags. Here we are. Superbells Double Vintage Coral. I want to show you this because it's very raspberry right now, but more corally tones are going to come on as the heat of summer also comes on. So here we are. This is the Superbells Double Vintage Coral. I planted this on my front porch, but I really want to pull it out here to the dining patio as well, because as we look at these colors, they are mirroring all of the roses in my border. I want to take you in close. I want to show you what I'm growing, and then you are seriously going to see how beautifully this pulls the entire color story together. Okay, starting off here with the Lady Gardener. This is probably the lightest and the pinkest of my roses. But again, do you see how beautifully it coordinates with this double Calibrachoa? Okay, next, heading over here into Honey Dijon. So this is Honey Dijon super budded up, and then it blows open to this buff color. Again, we're working with the same undertones. I mean, just really a beautiful accent. Okay, next is this beauty. This is a rose called Celestial Night. And do you see how it is picking up the deepest tones of this vintage coral Calibrachoa? I mean, this is if you're looking for something in that deep, plummy raspberry colorway, this is very much a choice for you to make. And this is also really reminiscent of a lot of the roses that I saw in Jo Thompson's garden at RHS Chelsea. I'll link that video below because we tried to capture a little bit of everybody, and I think we did a pretty decent job considering all the crowds. Okay. Woo! Okay. Oh, hey, friend. Okay, accidentally had a caterpillar on my finger. Okay, last but not least, Jude the Obscure, the yummy of yummies. I mean, my gosh, look at that bloom. And again, pulling together through all of these warm tones of this vintage coral Calibrachoa. Okay, kidding. I've got one more rose. This is spiced coffee. Now, here's the deal. Never trust the first bloom that a rose throws, because invariably it's always a little bit different. So I am still waiting to see what this little cutie will become. However, not bad. It's a little bit more pink. However, it's supposed to fade out to just a beautiful tone. I will insert a picture of what this little gorgeous rose should look like once it's finished throwing its first bloom. Okay, I want to give you a brief rundown of the containers and where we ended up. This spring planting, I think, was very successful. If you're curious, I will leave a link down below. But they were so sweet, and they were every spring. I invariably feel inspired to put yellow in my containers. It's just kind of, I don't even know what it is. Maybe it's the daffodils. Maybe it's just kind of that new freshness that spring always promises. But I definitely went towards that direction. And also I did a really fun container with my friend Jose. So that was also really special to have someone in my garden playing with me. So, okay, I'm gonna spin you around and I'll give you a brief walkthrough. So here she is, of course, 5-star jasmine centerpiece. Shall we zoom in for a second? I'm up in Seattle, so zone 8B, and it is just about ready to pop off. I know those of you in California, it's already been going a minute, but I'm anxiously awaiting the first blooms. Things have done really, really well, with the exception of some of the bugs munching on all of my poor violas. This is a viola called Deltini Copperfield. Loved it. It's actually a little bit more raspberry in the heat. Of course, some beautiful pansies, and then we have this wallflower that just goes and goes and goes and goes, and in these really soft yellow tones. I am debating about the angel wings. I think I might take it out. I'm doing something a little bit more simple here. I'm also going to take out my ivy. Just for those of you who have curiosities about it, I prefer ivy as a fall enhancement. For some reason, it doesn't sing to me as a spring, or excuse me, a summer thing. All right, next, down here. You guys, this is my bulletproof pot, and I kind of love it. First of all, when I planted these cute little sempervivums, they were tiny, but now look at that beast and a half. And what's really fun is I'm getting a lot of richness of color here in a pot that is arguably very difficult to keep watered. And then I've got this adorable little sedum here. This one I believe is Coca-Cola, and it just is a little bit of blue, and there's a little bit of raspberry dusting to the leaf that makes everything kind of work together. All right, next we have this madhouse of a container. It's time for it to go. It's getting hot. My hellebore has completely gone over. So this is actually going to go on to live at a girlfriend's house. This was just a beautiful display. And same thing with the heuchera. I'm going to give that out as a curb alert. So maybe someone walking by can have a new addition to their garden. Over here, we have just a simple mint planter. And then up here, this is, sorry, we're all in the kind of half shade, half sun. This is my spiced coffee rose. And like I said, this is the first bloom. You kind of can't trust the first bloom that it throws, but it has a beautiful shape. Of course, close on its heels, we've got a ton more blooms. And so far, the aphid pressure has not been bad this year. Okay, last but not least is my Jose container. This is the container that Jose and I did together. It's performed beautifully. You know, the wallflower, I could probably pull this out and put it in the landscape and it would just keep performing. But it's time for change, you know, time for something new. So I'm going to set you guys up and we're going to get after it. Okay, as per usual with all of these, I add a very generous couple handfuls of biotone. That is my preferred fertilizer, but a container is a closed system, so you gotta feed it if you want it to bloom. So friends, I'm gonna do something a little different this time. For my mid layer here, I'm gonna plant a dahlia. Now, I'm not gonna plant just any dahlia. This is a dahlia called Totally Tangerine. And what I love about this dahlia is there are certain dahlias that really are best used in the landscape or in containers, because some dahlias, if you put it in a container, it's gonna be 4 feet tall. And that's not what I'm going for. By contrast, Totally Tangerine, probably gonna be maybe 3 feet at max and adorable, and little orange blooms that are gonna pick up on a lot of that coloring on the vintage coral Calibrachoa. So you won't see me plant a mid layer. Instead, my mid layer is this adorable tuber here. These are ones that I divided from last year. I've got a lot of really great eyes coming out. I also, as you can see, I have a little sprout. Some people like to pinch these off. They want the dahlia to push out through soil. I'm just gonna let her ride. I'm just gonna throw it in. And now it's ready for me to add lots of fresh potting soil on top and my beautiful skirt of florals. Also brand new, shiny hory because I keep losing them. So if you find this in your garden and you're one of my clients, you're welcome. Free gifts with purchase. Okay, off we go. Okay, friends, I want to show you this gorgeous vine. This is one called Lophos. And this was something that Brian Bauman really introduced me to. It's not one that my nursery up here grows. However, I fell in love. This is a beautiful trailer for part sun, part shade mix. And for me, this container right here is the one that dives into shade first. Now, I've been trying this at my shop, teasing it into a little bit more sun, and it's actually done really, really well. But this is a gorgeous one for a hanging basket. And what I'm kind of doing is I want the Calibrachoa to almost like sit up top and give a nice fullness here. And then this Lophos is just gonna cascade like crazy. And this is also a really beautiful warm toned white. And so it's got a real nice creamy undertone. It's not a stark in your face white. And with kind of the warmth coming through the Calibrachoa, I just felt like it was the perfect match. Also, I am really going for a hummingbird and butterfly situation here. So you're also going to see me bring in some salvia, but this is one that hummingbirds also love. It is going to bloom spring to summer, grows 8 inches tall by 24 inches wide. So we're going to have a beautiful 2-foot drape on this. And again, part sun, part shade. I would not throw this in hot afternoon sun. I would say morning sun is the name of the game here. Oh my gosh, one other question that people ask me a lot is, I don't think people see me rough up the roots. And here is my 2 cents on that. I will not always rough up the roots of an annual that I am planting. Sometimes I will, and sometimes I won't. It really just depends on what I see going on underneath it. So if I see something like this, basically the reason people don't ever see me do it is because as I'm planting it, I just do like a brief rip as it's going into the ground. And I think it's probably a habit I've just developed over years and years. I mean, dare I say, a decade of doing containers professionally. God, that makes me sound really old. But yeah, a decade of doing this professionally. So in any event, I kind of do it in one fell swoop. So take it off with my hand and then just do a rip. So you guys often don't even see it because I'm down here doing it. And then in she goes. And you're going to notice how I'm planting this. I've decided to plant these a little bit further inward than I normally would, right? Normally a Calibrachoa, you're kind of going to have towards the edge, but I want to do a baby back and forth with my Lophos. So if you were just to do like a ring around the rosy, it wouldn't have the same depth and dimension. Also, the reason I'm doing this is because I know my little dahlia is going to come up through here. but I don't want it to be super naked in the interim while I'm waiting for it to emerge. So here she is. Oh, the other thing that's great is when you use a dahlia in containers like this, you really don't want to water it until the foliage emerges. And so when you water it, you're going to just do one big loop straight around. And I'm actually going to position my Calibrachoa up a little bit and have this Lophos just start spreading its tendrils all the way around. Gorgeous. That's so fun. So really, really simple. Oh, and I kept this little sedum back here just because, I don't know, I just love the unexpected nature of it. And also the edge, I don't know if you can see that, but it's that same raspberry color. So if you are new here, one thing that I really love to do is I like to give each one of my kind of garden zones its own energy, its own feel. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a plant, for example, this salvia right here, and I will use a plant to connect my spaces. So even though this dining patio has a bit of a different energy than the little patio out back, it still is pulled together because I am using this salvia again. This salvia is one called Skyscraper Dark Purple. So I had like a momentary mind lapse there. And I love this one. And in fact, what's kind of cool about the Skyscraper series is they just go and go and go. And also, if you want one that's a little bit more bushy, you can simply pinch them back. In fact, I just gave all of my orange that I have at my shop, I gave it all a haircut because I know that it's going to do this right here. Do you see this beautiful branching going on? So this little stunner is one that I used on the back. And now I'm bringing it to the front because I want the same hummingbird enjoyment right up here. I have a couple different things that I'm going to play with here, but one thing I really wanted to use is this cutie. And I actually only had one left. And what you can see right here is the beautiful interior throat of this particular Supertunia pulls in all of the raspberry that you see in the Skyscraper Dark Purple. This, by the way, is Supertunia Vista Silverberry. This is actually one of the very first proven winner plants that I fell in love with because it has a very delicate pink and beautiful veining. And for me, a flower that contains detail like this is really interesting. And there's a whole host of plants that have beautiful veining like this, but that definitely is one thing that drew me in to this particular Supertunia. Okay, and I have decided I am going to sink this bad boy right here in the middle because I know it's going to take over. And probably not in like a super bossy way. And if so, like, be the captain of your own ship. Give it a snip. Like, don't be afraid to get out here and navigate your plants and help them create the shape that you want to see in your garden. The next thing that I thought would be kind of fun back here is this pelargonium. This one is called Mosquito Shocker. And I love this for the dark plum veining that you see running throughout. In fact, let me bring you in a little bit close. This is the Mosquito Shocker, and its scent is supposed to help deter mosquitoes, which on a dining patio in summertime, I will take all the help I can get. And also this dark veining really helps pull in the depth of color in my salvia. Now, in terms of positioning, this guy is going to get a little bit big. And so I'm actually going to position him a bit towards the back. And I will not be mad if there's a little mingling going on here. I actually kind of like that. In fact, I'm going to add one to this other side. Okay. Oh man, this is actually smelling really good already. Okay, one last thing, because I'm definitely a more is more kind of gal these days. I'm actually going to bring in a new to me sweet potato vine because I just want to play with it. This one is actually really cute. This one is a sweet potato vine called Sweet Caroline Medusa Green. And this one needs to get out of its pot, but do you see how there's like a little bit of depth of purple coming through and really serrated? This feels a bit more rock and roll to me. And so I'm super excited to see how it performs and kind of how to play with it. But also for me, by the way, all of this product I've purchased myself. I like to buy from a variety of vendors. I love to be at the helm of my own ship. And quite frankly, I like to play with a little bit of everybody because there are so many amazing people out there growing incredible, incredible product. So if you have any questions, you let me know. But I am loving playing with everything from independent growers to proven winners to Bloom and Easy to Monrovia. I mean, for me, I feel like in gardening, the world is my oyster and I lean in and enjoy. I kind of have decided I'm going to do a little bit of a matchy flanking position here. I am not mad at that. That actually is kind of cute. There we are. New salvia container, all done. I cannot wait to see this fill in. Okay, starting off here with my dahlia tuber. Again, this is going to be my mid layer, and we're just going to enjoy watching this sucker fill in. So this container is really similar in size to the first container we did, but it's a little bit bigger, which means I have a bit more circumference to play with. I do like the idea that I'm repeating this Calibrachoa. For some reason, I am really just in the mood to have like a big impact. So I'm going to place these in a really similar fashion. And FYI, I like facing this container kind of almost directly towards the camera because this is what you see as soon as you walk up to the front door. So let's start by positioning these just maybe 2 inches back from the edge. It's kind of a nice little measurement. Okay, next, I want to have a good little play with some textures. I am not necessarily going to do the same one on either side. In fact, I have a little pocket here and I have a little pocket off the back too. So let's kind of see what we can come up with. Okay, so I want to have a little bit of a play here because, I don't want to step on my Gara. I had a bunch of one-off things that were left over from projects. And so I kind of want to play a little bit and just see what happens. So I have some of this beautiful Artemisia. This is one that I have used before. This one is called Silver Brocade. So here we are. This is Artemisia Silver Brocade, really great little annual. I've actually gotten this to overwinter in my region. Height 6 inches, spacing 15. I find that this is a beautiful drapey element and doesn't take over a container. Next up is I have another one. This one I used in the front porch container. This one is Color Blaze Strawberry Drop. This is a sun to shade kind of Placanthus. So funny. I was actually calling this a coleus, I think, in my first video. This is a Placanthus, which is really, I feel like, an underutilized container plant. They are so amazing, and I love using these as a mid-story. This one, again, sun to shade, 14 to 20 inches. I used this up at the front porch, and I love that it picks up a little bit of that deep coloring that is in the Calibrachoa. So that could be fun. I might use that here. I could maybe use that there. That's kind of fun too. This one, it's a super classic. She's a sweet potato vine. You see her, you know her, you love her. Kind of thinking this one might be a fun trailer down that way. Now in the back, look at this little sad chicken. This one was broken. It went tumbling out of my work van, but guess what? She's going to be fine. I'm going to bring her home and we're going to rehab her right here. Now, this one is an Alternathera. This one is called Plum Dandy, or if you know, you know. I refer to this one as Plum Daddy. It's full to part sun, 10 to 16 inches, tall and wide, and really a gorgeous texture piece. I just used a bunch of this at a client's house, and I'm just loving this foliage color. It's got a beautiful kind of like reddy purple undertone, and I'm thinking that almost might be fun in the back there as a little bit of an anchor. I'm going to play with it. We're going to see. Okay, last one that I'm going to play with here is this one again. This is the same Proven Winners Sweet Caroline Medusa Green sweet potato vine. And again, I just kind of thought, you know, I used it in the container that's right over there. And you know, I love to hopscotch elements to kind of marry a space together. And so, I don't know. So we're just going to play with all these and we're going to see what looks good to my eye. For me, I garden by instinct, by experience, by intuition. And you can plan all day, every day. You can adhere to like the best of color theory, but at the end of the day, you got to go with your gut because so much of gardening that we know is connection to the plants and the place that we love. Ooh, okay. All right, guys. Y'all, this is where I go crazy. I went into my stash. I didn't think I was going to like this. Okay, you guys, this is lotus vine, parrot's beak vine, whatever you want to call it. It will bloom this red, but guess what? I've actually never seen it bloom. And if it does bloom, guess what? I'll just rip them off. I don't even care. It's my garden. I do what I want. This is really good texture. Okay. Dag nabbit, you guys. I think I like this. Because that silver felt like too harsh. Ooh, but that is pretty. Okay, what if I did this? What if I did this? What if I brought a little bit of that over here? And then maybe I put a little bit of that there. And then I went and I grabbed another one. And maybe I put this back here. Maybe I like that. Let's stand back. Okay, you know what, you guys? I'm actually going to stick this one back here. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, I love that back here, this Plecanthrus adds just a little extra interest and a little bit of height between these two containers. I kind of like that. Also, it's kind of like a fun surprise to have a little something back here. I do have a sedum that just comes back year after year, and it's not doing the best. So we're just going to go with this because I do like that I might have a little extra something, something here. This vine or this branch, I actually may get rid of this one. Hold up. Boom. There we go. Okay, next we're going in with this lotus vine. And what's kind of funny is at first I was like, ooh, is this going to feel super imbalanced? But here's what I'm actually feeling from this is I like that you have this central one, but then as you walk up to the front door and you look back, this then looks like the center point. And there's something about that kind of like that play. It's not quite an illusion, but it's definitely a play with the eye that I'm really digging on. Oh, so beautiful. Okay, I am loving that texture. Okay, friends, I have one more container to do. Look at that. Okay, guys, I want to do something different. As you know, this is my gorgeous basalt dish. That was a present from Brian. This was also featured in my Northwest Lawn Garden Festival display garden the very first year I showcased. And so it has a special place in my heart. And I feel like I want to do something interesting with it. As you can see, daylight is fading and my fountain is on the fritz. But I want to do something special. So I went to Ravenna Gardens and I picked up water hyacinth. Now, do your own research. This is invasive in lots of the US. It'll form a giant mat. But here in my garden, I'm not going to be risking much of anything. And I love the idea that I'm going to have this sweet little dish filled with greenery right in the center of my veggie garden. I did some research. Water hyacinth does prefer full sun, and so this is a great location. It likes warmth as well. So this rock, it does a good job of heating up in the sun, and so I think it's going to be super happy here. I have read that it will multiply really quickly. Like in as little as 2 weeks, it'll just become a mass. And I'm not mad at that. In fact, it has all these little babies already, which I don't know. I feel like there's something so joyful about trying something new. And even if it's a disaster of an experiment, at least you tried something. It may clog my little Amazon, my Amazon solar fountain, but that's okay. I can always unclog it or remove it. But this is my last container for the upper garden. It's so freaking cute. So friends, can I share this sweet little garden that I came home to? And honestly, it reminds me so much of a lot of the gardens that I saw at Chelsea. I mean, we have the roses. We have the ever classic salvia caradona, being just the queen bee attractor she is. Look at those happy little bumblebees. They are just covering this. And then, of course, down in front, you guys, lady's mantle. This is just one of those plants that I feel in my bones. You know, I know we all have plants like that. And I would love it if you would share what those are for you. Because for me, lady's mantle, it's so humble, but it's such a good, beautiful plant. My sedum, looking ever so adorable down there. And then as we back up here, rounding the corner, my adorable little feverfew is coming on. Lamb's ear. This one little spot feels like it needs something, so that's on my to-do list here. But then look at that gorgeous interplay. My Allium bulgaricum with my salvia caradona. So sweet. All right, this front border though, you guys, I think this one is the one that is making my heart sing the most, because everything that we love is coming online. Look at this So White Gara. Now, by the way, this So White Gara is way bigger than the tag said, and I'm not mad about it. And then you can see down here, one of my alliums got kind of like a twisted stem and did not shoot up straight. But this is like the happy little accidents that I love. Of course, lady's mantle doing her thing. More of that salvia caradona. And then the other thing that is coming online here is my Sedum Autumn Joy. Now, this is one that I'm kind of hemming and hawing about right now. This may be substituted for a more deep purpley plum variety. We're just going to wait and see. And then at the end, a little bit of that Mexican feathergrass, Nacella tenuissima. I do cut this back every year, and it just gets these gorgeous, beautiful, delicate blades. Again, check your area for invasives. They are fine in my neck of the woods, but may not be in yours. And then look at this. How adorable are those little cuties? This is the ultimate in plants being happy together. Oh, also, how about that for Cecil Brunner? That, by the way, Cecil Brunner is one of the most gorgeous roses. It smells like heaven, beautiful tiny pink blooms. She will try to eat your house though. So, word to the wise, if you plant a Cecil Brunner, anticipate incredible perfume, but mind her, because she is a bit of a boss in the garden. Okay, my patio is ready for summer. I will see you in the next one. And in the meantime, please go out there and say hello to your garden for me. Bye now.